You're listening to the Yadidaleague podcast, sponsored by Metamucil. And now your host, Nicholas Reedy.
Oh, that's me. Hello, and welcome to the Yadidaleague podcast. It is week 3 in the Yadidaleague, and we got a huge show for you today. We're going to recap week 2. We got a winner of the week. We got a loser of the week. We got week 3 previews, matchup of the week. We're going to go over the standings. And not only that, we got another commercial from McJensen's. As you heard last week, they had that survival bucket. They got another one for us. We're going to check that out a little bit later. But first, let's get into the week 2 recap.
The weekly recap.
It was a hell of a week 2. We got some teams still undefeated after 2 weeks. Let's take a look here at the matchups that happened. We had a matchup of the week as it was. Coach J versus the Garos. Coach J remaining undefeated, 2-0. Garos moving to 1-1. Coach J winning this one by the slimmest of margins, 115.5 to 113.9. Let's take a look at the matchup. Coach J, he had Cam, 34.6 points. DeAndre Hopkins, 22 points. Chris Thompson, 15.8 points. And the rest of his lineup was fairly balanced. Let's just put it that way. The Garos, Cousins, 41.5. Gurley, 30.8. Kamara, 14.9. But I'll tell you what, this lineup here, it was rather top heavy. You start looking down the roster and the points start falling off. But that really wasn't the problem here with the Garos. It was the kicker that ended up being the problem. Chris Boswell, he missed a field goal, -1. Missed an extra point, another -1. That equals -2. You add 2 points to the Garos. That puts them at 115.9. They would have beat Coach J. But that's how it happens in the Yadidaleague. You're never safe week to week. Anything could happen. Your kicker's gonna dick you over, and that's what happened this time. Coach J moves on to 2-0. Garos, like I said, 1-1. We have our other matchups here. Hunter, 2-0. Impressive start to his Yadidaleague campaign. Beating Rocky, now 0-2. Hunter beat him 107 to 100.6. Rocky and them stats, checking that $25 going, yeah, I could have used that right about now. Ridiculous. We had Jimmy Jesus falling to 0-2 against the 40 Dicks. Jimmy G putting up 117.2. The 40 Dicks putting up 136 or 130. I can't read my own handwriting. So now, let's get into our winner of the week.
The winner of the week.
This winner of the week got his first win. Everybody for this winner, except for the kicker, had double-digit points. 7 of 9 of this winner's roster spots scored at least 16 points. Who is your winner of the week? It's the Mohamed Montgomerys. That's right, Mohamed Montgomery. As I said, getting his first win, beating Rob and the Domesticateds, domestically disturbed, 152.2 to 100. Wow. Let's take a look at the Mohammeds, our winner of the week. Yeah, Matty Ryan, 30.7 after I've been talking shit about him all year. Saquon, 17.8. Evans, 17.3. Hilton, 17.8. Galladay, 17.9. Bears defense, 17. You know, Galladay is 11th overall in terms of receivers in the Yadidaleague. Just thought you'd like to know. Mohamed, Jack, $2 for the 11th ranked receiver 2 weeks in. Take that for what it's worth. Your winner of the week, as I said, had 7 of 9 roster spots score at least 16 points. That's ridiculous. Mohamed Montgomery, your winner of the week. Now, with every winner, there must be a loser. You look at yourself in the mirror, are you a loser? You're wondering, am I the loser this week? Well, let me break it down for you. This loser of the week's 0-2. This loser of the week got deked by the Ravens defense versus Cincinnati and got -3 points for it. This loser currently has 6 questionable players. This loser has a team captain that only put up 3 points in this matchup. Who is it? Well, it could only be one person. Your loser of the week is the Jack Doyle Jash Cash Trash Stash Rules.
The loser of the week.
That's right. How things have changed from what would be just a few years ago. This guy's winning everything. Now he can't win anything. 0-2. Jack Doyle, Jash, Mustache Trash. You got to get your shit together. I told you last week. We might have to kick you from the league mid-season. That's how bad this is. And lowest score of the week. He lost to me, but it didn't matter. Lowest score of the week with 91 points. You know, and it could be, look, it's a shit matchup. My team put up 168, but when you scored the lowest amount of points in the league, you're not going to beat anybody. That math does not work out for you. Jack Doyle rules, you loser of the week. Frickin' ridiculous. Moving forward, the standings.
The standings.
The standings right now, we still got some undefeated teams here. You got 2-0 Kansas Reedy Chiefs leading the league in points for, 338 points for. We got the 40 Dicks 2-0, Hunter and Coach J, infamous Coach J, 2-0. 1-1, we got Mohamed Montgomery, your winner of the week, with second place in points for, 270.4. The Garos at 1-1. And then you get down lower here and it starts to smell. There's a musk, like a brown haze in the air. And you're looking at these 0-2 teams and you just feel like you got to wash your hands almost immediately. It's just like you got this film on you from looking and even just being in the presence of these 0-2 teams. Well, let's take a look. Jimmy Jesus, now 0-2, fourth in the league in points for with 245. You got the Rob, domestically disturbed. I just can't say that right for some reason. The Stats and the Doyles at 0-2, and the Doyles with 182 points for, the lowest in the league. The Kansas Reedy Chiefs with the most points for and the least points against, 68-point lead in points for. The Rob, domestically disturbed with the most points against by 24 points with 322 points against. Can you believe that? Now, before we get into the weekly preview, we got McJensen's coming at us with another commercial. Last week it was the Survival Bucket. Let's see what they got this week.
This weekend at McJensen's.
If you're looking for a place that offers
great deals,
knowledgeable staff,
convenient parking,
factory direct prices,
A non-ethnically diverse food court
that's partially air conditioned, then come to
McJensen's.
everything you need,
A lot of stuff you don't.
including once in a lifetime savings on all of our cutting edge
E-staplers.
Save yourself the pain and agony
of bending your wrist
with the
E-stapler
and the
Staple app, starting at $49.99. Mega deals
on all of our models
of compact Rosario
desktop computers.
this week only. As many compacts
that you can carry
for
$19.99
Ethernet cables
by the yard,
starting at
$1.99 per yard.
ergonomic,
Posturepedic,
hypoallergenic,
energy efficient,
gluten-free desk lamps
starting at $39.99.
But there's more.
Don't forget about our
great boy Bulk savings. 40,000 blank DVDs.
For only $27.50. 100 pack of pagers.
For friends and family.
$18.75. A shrink-wrapped pallet
Of Post-it notes.
depending on color, $12 to $600. A stack of those plastic things you put on the floor
So your office chair slides easier.
$75 per stack.
Bulk savings.
On key copies, minimum 200 keys,
$40.
1 metric ton
Of loose staples.
12 grand.
Don't forget.
If you yell the promo code Yadidaleague at Janice at customer service, you will get a 2 1/3 discount on half of your purchase.
Right, Janice?
I love my job.
And remember, your best spendings is always at McJensen's. I cannot believe that. McJensen's coming in hot. Week 3, Yadidaleague podcast. Thank you very much. Let's get into our weekly preview.
The weekly preview.
First game we're going to look at, Kansas City Chiefs, 2-0 against the 0-2 Jimmy Jesus's. Ladies and gentlemen, this one here, you just, like kind of a scab, you're picking at it. Well, that's what this matchup is. It's a pick'em. Projected to tie, which of course will not happen. 111.4 for both teams. Kansas City Chiefs going against the 49ers. That's Mahomes, Kareem, and Tyreek. Stephon Diggs against Buffalo. Jimmy Jesus has McCaffrey versus Cincinnati. James Conner against Tampa Bay. And Adam Thielen against Buffalo. Let's see if Jimmy Jesus could get on the board this week, week 3. Of course, I hope that he doesn't. Moving on, the 0-2, check them, $25 at the table, versus the 1-1 Garos. This one projected. Garos to win 116.7 to 109.9. Let's take a look at the matchup here for the stats. We got Matty Stafford versus New England. David Johnson versus Chicago. Keenan Allen versus the Rams. For the Garos, it's Gurley versus the Chargers. Kamara versus Atlanta. And the Gronk versus Detroit. We got 0-2 Disturbed Rob going against the 2-0 CTE Hunter. This one, as of right now, projected to have Hunter move on to 3-0, but that is only because Rob has not yet decided who he's going to put in an empty roster spot right now that is currently his wide receiver 2. So that projection could go Rob's way, and it most likely will, but as we all know, the projections don't matter because they're usually wrong. Rob's got Brady, Tommy Terrific versus Detroit. Zeke versus the Seahawks. Brandon Cooks versus the Chargers. Hunter, Drew Brees versus Atlanta. Juju Smith-Schuster versus Tampa Bay. And then just a shit pile of injuries. Look at this guy. He's got guys injured, suspended. 0-2 Jack Doyle's your loser of the week. Going against the 1-1 Mohamed Montgomery's your winner of the week. This one projected for Montgomery to get a second straight win. 117.3 to Doyle's 105.2. Could the Doyles be 0-3? Are you freaking kidding me with that shit? Doyle, he's got Deshaun Watson versus the Giants. Julio versus the Saints. Fournette versus Tennessee. He needs Fournette back in the worst way. Montgomery. Wentz versus Indy. Saquon versus Houston. And the best receiver in the freaking league, Galladay, $2 versus New England. Who is calling me right now? Hello? Yeah. Oh, it's our matchup of the week.
The matchup of the week.
Now, 3 weeks running, this team has been in the matchup of the week. And if you're paying attention, then you already know the matchup of the week features the infamous Coach J. 2-0 versus the 2-0 40 Dicks. This one, bitter rivals, but also cordial gentlemen. If they tie, they will settle this one on the basketball court, either online in 2K or actually in person. Let's take a look at the matchup here. As I said, Coach J, third week in a row in matchup of the week, projected to lose this one, 112.1 to 40 Dicks, 114.6. Coach J, he's got Cam versus Cincy, Antonio Brown versus Tampa Bay, Odell Beckham Jr. versus Houston, and on the other side of that, he's also got DeAndre Hopkins against the Giants. 40 Dicks, he's got the Rodgers-Adams connection going against Washington. A.J. Green versus Carolina. And the premier running back in football, Matt Breida versus the Kansas Reedy Chiefs. Thank you very much. That is your matchup of the week. One of these teams, unfortunately, is going to get a loss. And that about does it for week 3 in the Yadidaleague. And that about does it here on the Yadidaleague podcast for week 3. Huge podcast. Fantastic. Thank you, McJensen's, Metamucil, and all of you for listening and all of you for playing. And the Yadidaleague will be back next week for week 4. I've been your host, Nick Rady. Have a good one, you frickin' losers.